When we talk about men's health after the age of 50, the conversation often focuses on testosterone diet or exercise. But one of the simplest, most overlooked habits is how you drink water. At first, that may sound almost too basic. After all, everyone knows hydration is important, but what many men do not realize is that the way you hydrate, not just how much water you drink, can profoundly affect your circulation, your energy levels, your bladder and prostate health, and even your sexual performance. Let me start with a surprising fact. According to data published by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, nearly 75% of adults in the United States live in a state of chronic low-level dehydration. This does not always mean you feel thirsty. Instead, it shows up as fatigue, poor concentration, weaker circulation, higher blood pressure, or more frequent urinary issues. And here's the piece most people do not connect. Poor hydration and poor blood flow are directly linked. If your blood vessels are not well hydrated, inelastic circulation to critical areas, including the pelvic region, can suffer. Now, this is not just about drinking more water. Many of my patients tell me, "Doctor, I drink plenty of water, but I still feel tired, or I still wake up at night to urinate too often." That is where the nuance comes in, the pattern, the timing, the balance of electrolytes, and even the temperature of the water you drink can influence how your body absorbs it, how your kidneys handle it, and how it impacts your vascular system. Think of your body like a garden. If you water it all at once, the soil cannot absorb it, and much of it runs off. But if you water consistently at the right times of day, the plants thrive. Your circulatory system, your bladder, and even your erections are not so different. They respond best to hydration. That is steady, intentional, and paired with healthy lifestyle choices. In this video, we are going to unpack how drinking water the right way can support your circulation, sustain your energy, and enhance your performance. After 50, we will break down what the research shows, what I see in my practice, and simple strategies you can start today. We will cover why timing matters, why too much water at the wrong time can backfire, how hydration supports testosterone and vascular health, and how to integrate electrolytes without falling for marketing myths. I will also share insights on the connection between hydration, prostate health, and nighttime urination. One of the most common complaints men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s bring up. My goal here is to give you clarity, not fear. This is not about gimmicks or quick fixes. It is about understanding your body and learning how a simple everyday choice, how you hydrate, can ripple into your energy, your vitality, and your sexual health. So, let us walk through this step by step, like I would if you were sitting in my office, asking, "Doctor, how should I really be drinking water at my age?" When we think about hydration, most of us imagine it as a one-size-fits-all concept. You drink 8 glasses of water per day and you are done. But once you cross the age of 50, the way your body handles water begins to shift in very specific ways. First, let us talk about the kidneys. Your kidneys are your body's natural filtration system. They regulate electrolytes, balance fluid levels, and clear waste products. But as we age, kidney function naturally declines. A paper in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology notes that starting around the age of 40, glomerular filtration rate, the measure of how effectively your kidneys filter blood, declines by about 1% per year. By the time you are in your 60s, your kidneys may be 20 to 30% less efficient than they were in your 20s. This means your body becomes less effective at conserving water, so dehydration can sneak up more quickly. Second, blood vessel elasticity changes. Healthy arteries and veins need to be flexible, allowing blood to flow easily. Hydration helps maintain that flexibility, but as we age, blood vessels stiffen due to changes in collagen and elastin. A study from the Journal of the American College of Cardiology shows that dehydration makes the stiffness worse, reducing circulation for men. This reduced blood flow often shows up in 2 key areas, the heart and the penis, Both require strong vascular function to perform well. Third, the sensation of thirst diminishes with age. This is something I hear often in clinic. Men tell me, "Doctor, I just don't feel thirsty the way I used to." This is not imagined. It is a documented physiological change. Research in physiology and behavior confirms that older adults have a blunted thirst response. In other words, your brain does not always signal thirst until dehydration is already advanced. By the time you feel thirsty, your performance, physical, mental, and sexual may already be compromised. Now let us add one more layer: hormone. Testosterone, which naturally declines with age, is sensitive to hydration status. Low-level dehydration raises cortisol, the stress hormone, which in turn suppresses testosterone production. The Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research reported that even mild dehydration can significantly reduce circulating testosterone during exercise. So while hydration is not a magic fix for testosterone decline, it does create the internal environment that allows your hormones to work more efficiently. Think of your body like a high-performance car in your 20s. The system is forgiving. You can run low on fuel, skip an oil change, and still make it down the road. But after 50, the system is less forgiving. Every detail matters. The fuel, the oil, the maintenance schedule. Hydration is one of those quiet details that can determine whether your system runs smoothly or sputters. So here is the first real-life tip. If you are over 50, do not rely on thirst alone. Instead, build structured hydration into your day. A good starting point is a glass of water in the morning, a glass with each meal, and smaller amounts spread throughout the day. Aim for consistency rather than catching up all at once. This pattern supports kidney function, keeps blood vessels more elastic, and helps maintain steady energy. One of the most common mistakes I see in men over 50 is not the amount of water they drink, but the timing of it. Many people go through the entire morning and early afternoon barely hydrating, and then realize in the evening, "I have not had enough water today." So they load up drinking large amounts before bed. This creates more problems than it solves. Here is why your body absorbs and processes fluids best when given in moderate, steady doses. A paper published in the Journal of Applied Physiology showed that when people consume large amounts of water at once, the kidneys respond by quickly excreting much of it. In other words, a lot of that water does not stay in your system to support circulation or energy. It just flushes out. Think of it like pouring water onto a dry sponge. If you dump it all at once, most of it runs off. But if you add water slowly, the sponge absorbs and holds it. Your tissues are the same way. Now let us look at mornings overnight. Your body loses water through breathing and sweating even if you are not aware of it. By the time you wake up, you are already mildly dehydrated. Drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning has been shown to boost circulation, support digestion, and kickstart your metabolism. The European Journal of Clinical Nutrition has reported that morning hydration improves alertness and cognitive performance. This is one of the simplest ways to set up your energy and focus for the day. On the other hand, drinking too much in the evening, especially right before bed, often leads to nocturia or waking at night to urinate. This is a very common issue in men over 50, especially those with enlarged prostates. The bladder fills more quickly, and sleep gets interrupted. Poor sleep then worsens energy, testosterone levels, and blood vessel repair. So ironically, trying to catch up on hydration at night often backfires. There is also a cardiovascular angle here. A study from the American Journal of Physiology found that steady hydration throughout the day helps regulate blood pressure and reduces strain on the heart. In contrast, fluctuating hydration, being dehydrated for hours and then overloading, creates stress on the vascular system. For men with high blood pressure or cardiovascular risk, this pattern matters. So what is the practical advice front? Load your hydration earlier in the day. Aim to get about half of your daily fluids before mid-afternoon. A glass of water in the morning, another mid-morning, one with lunch and another mid-afternoon. builds a strong foundation. After evening exercise or dinner, you can still hydrate, but focus on smaller sips, not large volumes. This protects your bladder, supports better sleep, and still maintains circulation. Think of it like tending a fire. You do not throw in all the logs at once and hope it burns evenly. You add wood steadily so the fire stays strong. Your circulation, your energy, and even your erections depend on that steady flame. And hydration is the oxygen feeding it. If this is helping clarify things, give it a thumbs up and keep learning. This kind of conversation is what makes men's health less confusing and more empowering. When we talk about performance after 50, whether that means energy during the day, stamina during exercise, or strength of erections, it all comes back to circulation. Good blood flow is the foundation, and hydration is one of the simplest, most overlooked factors in keeping circulation strong. Let us start with the basics. Blood is roughly half water. When you are dehydrated, your blood volume decreases. Imagine trying to pump syrup through a hose compared to water. Thicker, lower volume. Blood makes the heart work harder and reduces how efficiently oxygen and nutrients reach your tissues. A study in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition showed that even mild dehydration reduces blood flow to working muscles, impairing endurance and recovery. Now, let us bring this down to something very specific for men. Erections depend on blood flow when you are aroused. Nitric oxide is released in the penile blood vessels. This chemical messenger tells the smooth muscle to relax, allowing blood to rush in and fill the erectile chambers. Hydration is low, blood volume is lower, and the ability of blood vessels to respond is weaker. Research published in Urology has linked vascular stiffness and reduced endothelial function to erectile dysfunction, and one of the contributing factors to that stiffness, chronic low-level dehydration. Think of your arteries and veins like flexible garden hoses. When they are well hydrated, they expand and contract easily. When they are dried out and stiff, it takes more pressure to get water through, and sometimes cracks begin to form. Hydration helps keep those vessels elastic, which is critical not only for heart health, but also for sexual performance. There is also an indirect effect through nitric oxide. Dehydration increases oxidative stress, essentially a buildup of free radicals, which reduces nitric oxide availability. Lower nitric oxide means weaker vasodilation, weaker blood flow, and weaker erections. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition notes that proper hydration supports antioxidant systems in the body, protecting nitric oxide function. Now I want to be clear, hydration alone does not cure erectile dysfunction. Erectile dysfunction is often multifactorial, involving vascular health, hormones, nerve supply, and psychological factors. But what hydration does is create a vascular environment that makes blood flow more reliable. It is like maintaining the oil in an engine. The oil itself does not create horsepower, but without it, the engine cannot perform. So what is the real-life takeaway? If you are dealing with fatigue, poor exercise tolerance, or weaker erections, check your hydration. First, a practical strategy is to combine hydration with movement. For example, drink a glass of water before your daily walk, or keep a bottle with you during light activity. This pairing improves circulation more effectively than drinking water alone. Comment below. If this resonates, let us open this conversation. Many men struggle silently with circulation and performance issues, and something as simple as hydration can be the starting point for improvement. One of the most common complaints men over 50 share with me in clinic is fatigue. They say, "Doctor, I feel drained by mid-afternoon. I do not have the energy I used to, and my focus is slipping." Often they assume it is just aging or low testosterone or stress, and while those are real factors, dehydration is one of the most overlooked contributors to low energy and mental fog. Here's what the research shows. Even a 1 to 2% loss of body water, something that can happen easily after a few hours without fluids, can impair mood, attention, and memory. A study in the Journal of Nutrition found that mild dehydration significantly increased feelings of fatigue and tension while reducing alertness in adults. Another paper from the British Journal of Nutrition showed that proper hydration improved working memory and reaction time. So when you feel that afternoon slump, sometimes it is not caffeine you need, it is water. On a cellular level, water is essential for energy metabolism. Every cell in your body produces energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. This process requires enzymes and chemical reactions that only function in a well-hydrated environment. When your cells are dehydrated, ATP production slows down. That means less energy for your muscles, less energy for your brain, and less energy for your reproductive system. Hydration also interacts with hormones. Low-level dehydration raises cortisol. The stress hormone cortisol is like a traffic cop in your body. When it is high, it redirects resources towards survival and away from growth, repair, and reproduction. High cortisol suppresses testosterone. That is one reason why stress-dehydrated men often feel both tired and low in libido. A paper in the Journal of Applied Physiology documented that men who exercised in a dehydrated state had significantly higher cortisol and lower testosterone compared to when they were properly hydrated. Think of your body like a battery-powered device. When it is fully charged, all systems run smoothly. The screen is bright. The sound is clear. The performance is sharp. But when the charge is low, everything slows down. Hydration is part of your body's charging system. Without it, even the best nutrition, sleep, and exercise cannot operate at full power. So here is the practical advice. Do not wait until you feel exhausted to hydrate. Instead, use hydration as a preventive tool. One strategy I recommend is what I call habit stacking. Link hydration to an activity you already do. Drink a glass of water before coffee in the morning. Sip water during work breaks, and drink another glass before exercise. These small anchor points help keep your energy stable all day. And if this discussion is helping you see your body more clearly, give the video a thumbs up. It helps others find evidence-based shame-free health content just like this. One of the most common reasons men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s change their drinking habits is bladder or prostate symptoms. They often say, "Doctor, if I drink less water, I do not have to get up at night as much. Or if I drink too much, I am running to the bathroom all day." And so they start restricting fluids, believing this will protect their bladder or prostate. But the truth is more nuanced. Let us start with the prostate. As men age, the prostate naturally enlarges, a condition called benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. This can press on the urethra, making it harder for urine to pass and causing symptoms like urgency, weak stream, or frequent nighttime urination. Now here is the myth. Many men think drinking less water will improve these symptoms, but the American Urological Association has been clear that restricting fluids too much can actually make bladder irritation worse, increase the risk of urinary tract infections, and even promote kidney stones. Hydration supports bladder health in two ways. First, it dilutes the urine, reducing its acidity and concentration. Concentrated urine is more irritating to the bladder lining, which makes urgency and frequency worse. Second, steady hydration helps flush bacteria from the urinary tract, lowering infection risk. A study in JAMA Internal Medicine found that women who increased their daily water intake by just 1.5 liters had a nearly 50% reduction in urinary tract infections. While that study was in women, the principle applies to men as well. More diluted urine, less irritation, and better urinary health. Of course, timing matters. Drinking large amounts of water right before bed will almost certainly make nocturia worse. This is where balance comes in. As we discussed earlier, the goal is front-loading fluids earlier in the day than tapering off in the evening. That way the bladder is not overfilled at night, but you still stay well hydrated overall. Now let us connect us back to prostate health. Proper hydration helps reduce the risk of kidney stones, which men with enlarged prostates are already more prone to stones, can worsen urinary obstruction and pain. Hydration also supports kidney function, which is closely tied to how the bladder and prostate behave. When kidneys are under stress, bladder function often worsens. Think of it this way: your bladder is like a balloon, and your prostate is like the knot at the end. If the balloon is constantly filled with highly concentrated, irritating urine, it becomes more sensitive, and the knot feels tighter. But if the urine is diluted and the filling is gradual, the system works more comfortably. So here is the real-life strategy. Do not restrict water during the day out of fear. Instead, distribute fluids earlier morning through late afternoon and limit large drinks within 2 hours of bedtime. If you deal with nighttime urination, try tapering your fluids after dinner while still getting the majority of your hydration before then. This approach balances bladder comfort, prostate health, and overall circulation. By now, we have covered why hydration after 50 is different, how timing matters and its effects on circulation, energy, and prostate health. But the real question many men ask me is, how do I put this into practice without overcomplicating it? Let us break down some smart hydration strategies. First, electrolytes. You have probably seen shelves of sports, drinks, powders, and expensive performance waters. For most men, these are not necessary for daily hydration. Electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium do play an important role, especially if you are sweating heavily during exercise or living in a hot climate. But for routine day-to-day hydration, you can meet these needs with whole foods, a banana, a handful of nuts, or lightly salted vegetables. The National Institutes of Health recommends that electrolyte replacement is only critical after prolonged intense exercise or illness. In fact, overusing electrolyte drinks can actually increase sodium intake, which may raise blood pressure. So the key message is, do not fall for marketing myths. Water paired with a balanced diet is usually all you need. Second, let us talk about water temperature. This may sound trivial, but it influences how you hydrate. Cold water is absorbed slightly faster and can feel refreshing, especially after exercise, warm or room temperature. Water can be more soothing for digestion and may encourage you to sit more slowly. There is no single best temperature, but the point is to choose what helps you drink consistently. Think of it as finding the right gear for your lifestyle. The best water is the one you will actually drink regularly. Third, daily habits. One of the simplest strategies I recommend is to tie hydration to existing routines. Drink a glass of water when you wake up, one with each meal, and one mid-afternoon. Carry a refillable bottle so that sipping becomes second nature. If you struggle with remembering, set a timer or use an app that reminds you of gentle intervals. These cues are especially helpful for men who, as we discussed earlier, have a reduced thirst response with age. Another practical point is portion size. Large volumes of water at once tend to flush out quickly, whereas smaller, consistent portions are absorbed more effectively. A study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism confirmed that steady hydration maintains plasma volume more reliably than bolus drinking. So rather than chasing a number like 8 glasses per day, think in terms of rhythm, small, steady inputs throughout the day. Finally, personalize your approach. Men who exercise more will need more water. Men taking diuretics for blood pressure may need to be especially mindful since these medications increase fluid loss, and men with kidney or heart disease should always check with their doctor about fluid goals, since more is not always better in those conditions. Here is the real-life takeaway. Smart hydration is not about perfection. It is about building simple, sustainable patterns. Consistent sipping earlier in the day, hydration, whole food, electrolytes, and personal adjustments. Think of it as tuning your instrument. Small, steady refinements make your circulation smoother, your energy stronger, and your performance more reliable. We have covered a lot of ground in this conversation, so let us take a step back and connect the dots. Hydration NAFTA 50 is not the same as hydration in your 20s. Your kidneys are less efficient, your blood vessels less elastic, and your thirst response less reliable. That means waiting until you are thirsty is not enough. You need a structured, intentional approach. We looked at how timing matters, front-loading water earlier in the day, then tapering off in the evening to protect sleep and reduce nighttime urination. We saw how circulation depends on hydration, because blood is half water, and how dehydration directly weakens blood vessel function, nitric oxide availability, and ultimately erectile strength. We explored energy metabolism, how even mild dehydration raises cortisol, lower testosterone efficiency, and drains cellular energy, and we dispelled myths about bladder and prostate health, showing that restricting fluids too much often makes symptoms worse, not better. Finally, we discussed practical strategies, whole food, electrolytes instead of gimmicky drinks, choosing the water temperature that keeps you consistent, and anchoring hydration to daily routines. Here's the message I want to leave you with. Hydration is not glamorous. It does not get the attention of testosterone, boosters, supplements, or new exercise fats, but it is foundational. Without it, circulation, hormones, energy, and prostate health all struggle with it. You create the environment where your body can perform in the gym, in the bedroom, and in your daily life. So here is one action. You can start today. Tomorrow morning before you reach for coffee, drink a glass of water. Just one. It is a simple reset for your circulation, your metabolism, and your energy. If you build that habit and then add steady hydration throughout the day, you will feel the difference within weeks. And remember, you do not have to be afraid of your body. You just need good information and small, consistent actions. Stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one. If you want grounded, shame-free health content, the kind that comes from someone who actually looks at this in clinic every day, make sure you subscribe. And if this talk clarified things for you, share it with someone who might need the same clarity.